We became a Label Traxx customer in 2010, so it was about 5 years after we got into the label business. I was away from the company at the time. This is my second tour of duty with Steinhauser and my last. They put Label Traxx in 2010 because the business had grown to a point where they needed an MIS to help manage the business. And we've made steps with Label Traxx over the last 13 years. It's been a great relationship for us. They are a strategic partner of ours, and we're happy that we've been able to take this step with them in batched last year. We became a batch customer last year. We started working with Matt and his team prior to them becoming a part of Label Traxx mid last year. Started working on our implementation late last year, and we went with the January launch date. And I can tell you that in the almost 12 months that we've been fully immersed in batched, it's been game changing for our business. And we'll talk about a number of reasons why as we go through this.
So maybe if you could just articulate, as you started considering investing more time and energy into Label Traxx and batch, what were some of those challenges you were facing? What was the position of the business, or maybe some of those things that you were looking at trying to solve in the business?
Yeah, Matt, I can tell you, came back to the company 5 years ago, and in this 5-year window, we have more than doubled in our sales volume. And
right.
We've been fortunate and blessed to be able to come across some very large national production type CPG work. It was quite a focus shift for us from being a smaller regional player to playing on the national stage with some of the larger converters. Along with that came challenges, you can imagine. We had to change our complete production scenario, our scheduling scenario, our capacity analysis, and we had to manage the business a lot tighter than we had previously. It's not that we weren't, it was just a little more informal. But now we're talking about multi-shift operation. We grew, when I came back in 2019, we were a single shift operation. We're a 3-shift operation now, 5 days a week, maintaining a pretty steady schedule of high volume work. That obviously presented some challenges with the tools that we had and didn't have collectively. We were still doing a lot of processes manually, trying to get data to run the business from Label Traxx and use it efficiently to make good business decisions. Some of our challenge with that, though, the data itself is available in Label Traxx, and that's ultimately where batch goes and pulls their data. It's a matter of getting the data in a timely manner to make good business decisions, and that was where we were having some of our biggest issues, was having real-time data to do some of our day-to-day decision making throughout the business.
You talked about using the system for scheduling, but also using the data for day-to-day decisions. Can you elaborate a little bit, like what kinds of decisions? Are those employee related, or I think of strategic decisions about like equipment and product lines and such, but how about I'm curious about the tactical stuff as well.
The performance metrics are the driver of the improvements in our business. So continuous improvement, as you know, our margins, are based on us being able to control cost. We can only do that so much with the current material price structure that we have. Everybody faces the same challenge. We've got to take waste out of our business. And to take waste out of our business, we've got to have the right tools at hand to help us identify where that waste is coming from. Again, prior to having batched, it was a little tough to get to that without some manual tracking or a lot of data work coming out of Label Traxx. We've got pretty real-time data right now by equipment line that can tell us by job where we're seeing high waste areas, and allows us to react much quicker if we see a situation that is falling out of line. We're starting to build a trend on a particular piece of equipment or a product line. We have the ability to break it down by product, by machine, by actual material that we run. So we've got a much more detailed look at the operation itself to help us reduce waste. We're also very carefully monitoring our on-time delivery performance. It's one of our key performance metrics from the service side of our business that we rely very heavily upon. That was particularly a difficult metric to get without having batched before, but again, we've got that real time available to us now. Probably one of the most useful tools that we have that I use on a daily basis. There's actually a scorecard for the company that we look at every day, and it's got sales metrics, it's got operations metrics. It's a good general look for how the business is performing on a day-to-day basis, and not just day-to-day. We look at today, we look at month-to-date, we can see year-to-date, we see all the various sales metrics, we can look at gross margin, we can look straight across at the operational metrics as well. We've got a quick snapshot of the general health of the business every day, readily available to us.
I would love, Rod, maybe for you, you hit a lot of these anecdotally, but we wanted to just throw some numbers up here to put the kind of the proof in the pudding of the improvements that you've been seeing in addition to all the volume increases. So I'd love for you to maybe just share any additional context or kind of talk through these numbers as you have them here, and any other context you'd like to add around the improvements that you see in the business.
Well, like any business today, and anybody on the phone, we're in the business to make money. That's why we're here at the end of the day. And again, having this tool to help us drive the business, and make business improvements is a key factor in our growth, not only just from a sheer raw sales standpoint, but our growth in margin, which is ultimately what it's all about. As you can see, we've hit almost a 29-30% increase in margin year over year in gross margin. And that all falls right to the tools that we have at hand to help make improvements in the business and reduce our waste. Candidly, that's where our biggest impact can be on a margin standpoint, is reducing our waste. We now have a much more reliable tool to do that. And it's been, as you can see, that's very impactful over the course of a year from a margin standpoint, especially in business where the margins can be kind of tight, and they get tighter, especially with some of the things we've gone through as an industry the last couple of years.
What would you say are the biggest quality of life changes, if there are any?
I think internally, it's probably the general communication about how the business is being run and what we're focusing on, and being able to communicate much more efficiently than we've been able to. We do get good feedback. In fact, we had a nice email from a customer we shared at our scheduling meeting this morning about, you guys are doing a great job. Your turnarounds are incredible. Your quality is great. And our team continues to get the kind of feedback from our sales department. Again, I think a lot of it has to do with how we've come to run our business, and it also has a lot to do with how we treat our people and the way they perform. But they know that they're going to be given the right tools to do their job, and be that Bash or some other tool that they need, they're going to get it. And we're reaping the benefits of having this technology and these tools available to our entire team.